Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Claire Cleveland and I will be doing a historical analysis of the popular television series Mad Men. Mad Men is focused on a 1960s ad agency called Sterling Cooper. The focal point is Don Draper, creative director and later partner, and the lives of those around him. This period drama, created by Matthew Weiner and produced by Lionsgate Television, started in 2007, and its final season, Season 7, will premiere on April 5th of this year. The show is set in the 1960s, and while the show focuses primarily on this main male character, Don Draper, the female characters and their historical reference in the workplace, in their home lives, and in their rights to birth control, etc., really are a good prominent feature of the TV show. The show stars Don Draper as the main character, Peggy Olson as the only female copywriter, played by Elizabeth Moss, Joan Holloway, the secretary, she's played by Christina Hendricks, Betty Draper, Don's first wife, played by January Jones. The show had a lot of critical and popular acclaim. Publications such as the New York Times, Time Magazine, TV Guide, and American Film Institute all called the show just a riveting, amazing depiction of historical relevance. But is it? Well, the women of the 1960s as depicted by Mad Men, known as the Mad Women. Betty Draper. She plays the role of the housewife, so to speak. Here she is shown at the psychiatrist's office, and also in the upper right picture after she finds out that Don has been cheating on her. She is just in total disarray. Betty is kind of the victim of the housewife syndrome, as mentioned by Betty Friedan from the Cleveland Doctor. She ultimately divorces Don, struggles with her unhappiness in a new marriage, drinks, smokes, sleeps all the time, and gains weight rapidly. She's unhappy in her marriage, and as Betty Friedan says, she is constantly questioning, is this all? And that's what she questions at the psychiatrist, and while at the time she couldn't put a finger to her unhappiness, as many women couldn't, we now know, looking back, that the problem was ultimately that she was, as her father said, a house cat, very important with very little to do. Next is Peggy Olson, who plays the role of the employed woman. Here she is shown with her child in the bottom right picture and pregnant in the top picture, and at the office in the left picture. She has to constantly fight for her role at work. She faces constant sexual harassment, and she works all the time and has a hard time with relationships, trying to hold this role that was predominantly held by men. She struggles a lot with it, and while 75% of the women at the time were employed outside of the home, most of them were domestics, so they were working as secretaries or as housemaids, and so they weren't directly competing with men as Peggy is depicted here. Next is Joan Holloway, who plays the role of the sexual revolution. Joan, as pictured in the top right, had 2 abortions during the time of the show. However, Roe v. Wade did not go through until 1973, so Joan had 2 illegal abortions. She also used birth control both in her marriage and outside of her marriage. Her marriage, in one instance, pictured in the bottom right picture. However, in Griswold versus Connecticut in 1965, it was ruled unconstitutional to prohibit married couples from using birth control, so there were ways to get around birth control being illegal. And then in the left picture, you can just see she's in red, she has the red hair, and she's just highly sexualized and viewed as being less than all the men. So all of those things are seen here. She views herself as being in control, but she realizes that that control is only goes so far, that she is in control of how men look at her and such, but she doesn't make as much money. She doesn't get the positions that she wants at Sterling Cooper, and she's fierce and outspoken, but can be put down by the men who work there quite often. So, what did Mad Men miss? Well, Mad Men focuses only on an upper socioeconomic group of people. They're predominantly white. Diversity is completely missing. There was 1 black secretary up until season 5, where I am, and she is largely ignored and doesn't get as much work as some of the other white secretaries. The show also fails to depict women who actively fought against the norm. While Peggy and Joan and Betty all have their distinct important places in the show and in society, none of these three women were, in the 1960s fighting for their rights or claiming themselves to be feminists or even showing that they wanted to be feminists and be doing all of the things that other women were doing at the time to earn more rights and to improve their position in society. So, overall, Mad Men is a good historical depiction of white, high-class, wealthy American men and some women. But overall, I do think it gives a good depiction of the time period. It focuses a lot on the restrictions that men and women had on them, and it is very enjoyable. Thank you for watching. None of these pictures are mine. I pulled them all from Google, and the looped intro song playing in the background is a YouTube video, also not mine, but did aid in this video. Thank you for watching. I'm Claire Cleveland.